All right, I'm going to do a little experiment here to try to address a particular issue that is pretty easy to arise when we're doing change outs. And I'll explain why. Boy, look at that. That is tough. There it goes. First, I'll explain why I only like clear PVC cement as far as the glue goes. I mean, this really melts the PVC. I mean, most people know that you're actually melting it together, not really gluing it. So anyway, the reason I don't like, say, Rain or Shine or one of the other colored ones is mainly because the Rain or Shine, I can just pull that right apart the next day or a week later or a year later. The clear, to me, is the absolute toughest. And it really, you know, makes pretty much a permanent connection. So I'm going to pour some of this in that one and some of it in that one. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to dye this PVC cement to where when we do a change out and we have like 10 joints or more, we'll have a couple of T's, a clean out, a vent T, 3 or 4 elbows, the P-trap, and there's just a lot of joints in a small area about this big. And a lot of the guys, what they'll do, of course, just like I would, is kind of dry fit everything together and then take it all back apart and glue it. So just to get a color that was different than everything else you can buy on the market, I got a couple of red Rust-Oleum little cans of paint here. Now, I'm going to say the oil-based one is probably going to be the most compatible with this solvent type based product, and that it's probably not going to affect it. I did get a latex one just to do the fair test. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of each of these in this glue and mix them up and then test them. We're going to glue a couple of fittings with it and see what happens. So hopefully what I would like to do is end up with a way to dye these cans before they go in the field into the install trucks, and that way we can plainly see red as something that we don't see elsewhere. If you see blue, or there's other ways to do this, like purple is a primer. And I thought about trying to mix a little bit of that primer in, and I may still get to that if this doesn't work out. Thought maybe I'd try to mix a little of that primer in here because they are somewhat compatible products, I would say. Let's get a little cleaner up here in case we need it. But first I'm going to try these paints so that it can be unique to us and it can be red, because we may see purple on a job on, you know, partial. Like I say, we're a change out company, primarily doing change outs. So let's start with the oil based, which is what I think is really going to work. And let's open it first. Boy, that is bright red there. I'd like to find some way of not getting this everywhere. So I found a little cap that I didn't need. I'm gonna sit these where we know what we did. And I'm just gonna start conservatively and figure out if this actually will mix. And if it does, try to figure out how little of it. Boy, this is going to come out pink. Yeah, actually, it took surprisingly little to color it, which is a good thing, because I would hate to actually sacrifice the effectiveness of the solvent here. Okay. Should have brought the trash can over here. And if this works, obviously, I'm going to color the whole can. Now, what I mean by if it works is when we glue a couple of elbows, I want to come in here tomorrow. I don't know. I may fool with it an hour later tonight, but I want to come in here tomorrow and just see if it's, you know, typically just like our other glue joints we always do, and that I cannot twist it apart. And something tells me that I better put like an O for oil and an L for latex, and the same thing on the pipe. I doubt very seriously the latex is going to mix as well and do as good. And plus, another thing I'll do is I'll leave this sitting here and see if it all separates or sinks to the bottom, or you know, whatever. Hopefully not. But. So let's take a small amount of the latex, just like we did of the oil base. I'm gonna wipe this off. All right, now let's see if this will mix up. And it is definitely mixing different. I don't know if I'd say it's not mixing as well, but definitely didn't mix quite as quickly as the oil base did. Okay. Like I said, I should have brought a trash can over here. I don't know what some of you guys are thinking right now, but you're probably thinking this is goofy. But I tell you what, If it works, I'm going to do it. Whether everybody thinks it's goofy or not. And that way, when our installer is going back, looking behind his helper and so forth, he can see what has happened. And if everything was glued or not. Alright, so I went and got a couple of elbows. And the reason I'm going to use elbows is, well, number one, we have the most of those. And number two, it will be very easy to, you know, use it as a handle and try to twist it off. So, guess I'm going to sacrifice the dauber. Maybe have a couple of them, I don't know, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to. Might have to get another one. All right, so we're on the oil-based side. And we're going to do as suggested. If you read the can, and nobody ever reads the can. And we're going to coat the fitting and the pipe. Put them together, give them a very slight twist. I'm going to let that sit a minute before I worry about the other side. And for whatever reason, be it silly or not, I don't really want to mix these two up any more than I have to. So I'm going to go get a dry paper towel and squeeze this. All right. So now, let's go to the other side. That's the oil side, this will be the latex side. Let's go over here. Get a little bit of it. And just as before, I'm going to do both sides, both pieces, the pipe and the elbow. Okay. Now I had thought for a minute that I might find a way to cover these and try to preserve them. But I don't think I really care quite that much. Because instead of trying to pour it back in there, I'll probably just throw all that away and actually get the new cans off the shelf. There's about 11 of them over there, I counted. And I'll put a little bit of the paint in each one, whichever one works better. we'll find out just exactly what this little test will prove. Okay, so I got this little experiment finalized out here, and I cannot twist these elbows, and I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, that kind of pressure is not going to get on these. That we have not sacrificed the effectiveness of the glue by adding this paint. And so I'm pulling these off the shelf, turning this red, and you know, just making it easy for our installers to see that, you know, every joint they affected has been glued fresh. It's just a little thing that I think could possibly help them, and just another little insurance policy. And I did end up, as I said, using the latex because such a tiny amount of it really colored it strong. And there's the latex side. And that's the oil-based side. And it just really didn't tint it that strong. So I just liked it better. So that's what I did. All right, so we took 5 off the shelf. Let's go get 5 more, or 6 more. I think we got 11 over there. And let's move on.